Cadillac's lineup of all-electric SUVs seems to be growing by the day, and this new OPTIQ is the latest model to join the fleet. What's up, folks? I'm Dave Undercoffler, editor-in-chief of Autolist.com, a sister company to CarGurus. Over the past few years, Cadillac has quietly rolled out one of the most robust lineups of all-electric crossovers and SUVs in the entire luxury segment, and this new OPTIQ is the latest to join them. This new model happens to be the smallest. It's a compact crossover that offers over 300 miles of range, a starting price in the mid-50s, and a host of tech and comfort on the inside. It goes up against a range of competitors, including the Tesla Model Y, Genesis GV60, Kia EV6, Mercedes EQB, and the Audi Q4. So how does this new OPTIQ stack up against those? Let's go spend some time with it and find out. But before we do, be sure to like and subscribe to this page so you can get alerts on all of our future updates. All right, let's start by taking a look at the exterior of the OPTIQ. A couple of things to note. There are 4 different trim levels you can get. There's a Luxury 1, Luxury 2, Sport 1, and Sport 2. We are testing a fully loaded Sport 2. It's about $59,000, including destination. That's actually a pretty good value considering what is on the inside and the tech underneath this hood. We'll get into that a little bit later. Now, in terms of the styling itself, it definitely sets itself apart from anything else on the market except for other Cadillac models. You'll definitely see a resemblance to models like the Cadillac Lyriq, the VISTIQ, which is the 3-row model, or the Escalade IQ. You've got this grille here, which is mounted flush to the car. This actually illuminates, as does the Cadillac badge. It's pretty cool. You've got the headlights and daytime running lights right here. And then under this hood, you're probably wondering, is there a frunk or storage space of any kind? Unfortunately, no. There's just parts of the motor. Turning to the side here, you can really see the proportions of this OPTIQ. It's about a foot shorter overall than the Lyriq. That's Cadillac's larger all-electric SUV. It's also about 3 inches shorter than the Tesla Model Y, just for comparison. A couple of things to note. We've got 20-inch wheels there. I like the design. I think that's pretty cool. Right here, this is the charge port door. I'll show you that in just a second. Moving down the side, most of the things that Cadillac did on this OPTIQ stylistically, I do like. Although I have to say, this section with this sort of graphic, I don't love. Not my favorite. I think they could have done something a little bit better there. Turning to the rear of the OPTIQ, this is where Cadillac designers probably took the biggest swing in terms of the design. This may not be for everyone. It's a little more aggressively styled than some of its more conservative competitors, like the Mercedes EQB or the Audi Q4. But overall, I do like it. It's a little daring, a little edgy, so that's kind of cool. You've got split taillights, so you've got it running down the side here and then down below. One nice trick is that as the car is charging, the level of this LED will reflect the state of charge of the battery. That's just sort of a nice little trick. I think it's pretty cool. You also have a big spoiler up here, a smaller spoiler down below, and one little trick to open up the trunk. There's no button underneath. You just push the Cadillac logo. All right, let's take a look under the hood. As I mentioned earlier, there is no frunk, unlike many of its competitors. And oddly, Cadillac has left everything sort of exposed. Most cars today, whether it's a gas engine or an electric motor, have all kinds of plastic cladding over it. But this actually allows you to see the inner workings of this car. So this has an 85 kilowatt hour battery. It has 302 miles of range. That's rated by the EPA. We're testing a dual motor all-wheel drive version, so it has 300 horsepower and 354 pound-feet of torque. And if you don't need all-wheel drive, for 2026 on the OPTIQ, Cadillac has introduced a rear-wheel drive single-motor version. Finally, Cadillac made one other key change to the OPTIQ for 2026, and that's the type of charge port that it offers. The model we have here has the old-style CCS type of plug. For 2026, the OPTIQ switches to the NACS type of port. That's the Tesla-style plug that allows you to use the supercharging network, which is throughout the US, really adds to the usability of the OPTIQ for the model year. All right, now let's take a look at the inside of this OPTIQ. Overall, I really like the interior. I think Cadillac has done some really great things. The main thing you notice is this screen. This is a 33-inch screen running all the way from the door over here on the center console. Right here, you've got the infotainment system. Overall, this is a really nice setup. This screen is a touchscreen itself, but then you have redundant controls down here. Everything is very functional. The menus are pretty clear. Everything is where you might expect it to be, so that's pretty cool. The biggest downside to this infotainment setup, and maybe the car overall, is that there is no Apple CarPlay or Android Auto connectivity. That is a huge miss in my book, and that's not just limited to this OPTIQ. Cadillac and General Motors itself has decided not to offer that on any of its vehicles moving forward. That's a huge miss, very frustrating because I think a lot of people are used to that ecosystem. I will say this does have Google Maps and you can integrate it with your Google account, so it will save favorites, but overall, I'd rather have Apple CarPlay. So you've got that screen there, and then in front of the driver, you have a fully configurable digital screen. I really like that. You can have Google Maps actually display in front of you. There's also a heads-up display, and there are other settings that you can have on that display. So I think that's pretty cool. And then you've got this small screen right here. This is actually a touch screen, and I love the way it's set up. It allows you to very easily control things like your trip computer. You can also go through different settings and menus here. It's very easy to use and very intuitive rather than having to go through lots of menus here. And then down below all of these screens, down here you have physical buttons for the climate control. If you've seen our videos before, you know I hate it when everything is integrated into the screens or there's touch sensitive panels here and there because they never seem to work as well as buttons. These buttons work great. You've got a really nice menu here, really nice sort of animated display as you change the fan speed or the climate control settings. So that's a really nice setup. Easy to find, easy to use. Kudos to Cadillac. Another standard feature that I think is really cool is that the OPTIQ comes with Super Cruise. That's Cadillac's hands-free driving system. For my money, it's the best hands-free driving system on the market. Works really well. And I love that Cadillac has included it as standard equipment on the OPTIQ. I think that's a really good value play. Again, this is not a particularly expensive luxury crossover, so to have that as standard gear is pretty cool. And then in terms of connectivity, there's actually quite a bit of it. You've got 2 USB-C charge ports down here. Also a really nice area to store your phone there. Maybe you store it here. But then in this center console, you have 2 more USB-C charge ports. That's pretty cool. And then a wireless smartphone charging pad right here where your phone can sit. As I mentioned earlier, we're testing a fully loaded model, so that means that we have goodies like heated and cooled and massaging front seats. That's a nice touch. And then finally, there's the materials that Cadillac has used throughout this cabin. Overall, I think they did a really nice job, keeping it sort of modern and fresh without going too antiquated or outdated. You've got this sort of almost carpeted feel, this textured fabric running here. You've also got it along the center console, and then up here on the doors and running over to the C-pillar. The seats themselves are very comfortable, really nice bolstering on the side. The only thing I don't like in terms of materials is this plastic strip right here. You also have it on the door panel. It just looks kind of cheap. It almost looks like there was a piece of trim on top of it that came off, broke off, or came unglued or whatever. Just looks a little too cheap, a little too basic for a crossover that can hit almost $60,000. All right, now to the rear seats, and it's actually quite comfortable back here despite this being a compact crossover. So I've got the front seat set where I would have it if I'm sitting up there. I'm 6'1", so basically I'm sitting behind myself. And as you can see, I've got more than enough room for my legs, my knees, my feet. Headroom is pretty good. If I sit way back, I sort of bump a little bit, but generally it feels pretty good. I also love that there's a panoramic roof that really opens up the cabin, doesn't make it feel too claustrophobic. So yeah, there's a lot of room back here. It is down in space compared to the Tesla Model Y, but overall, I think anyone looking for a compact crossover is gonna find there's plenty of room for everyone back here. In terms of comfort and amenities, it's actually pretty nice. These seats are quite comfortable, not always the case on rear seats. And then down below, we've got 3-stage heated seats for each of these outboard positions, a pair of USB-C charge ports, and then a household plug. In terms of cargo space, the OPTIQ is sort of in the middle of its segment. It's got a little less than the Tesla Model Y, but has a little bit more than something like the Audi Q4. With the rear seats folded up, it has 26 cubic feet of space, and if you fold those down, they fold nearly flat, it gives you 57 cubic feet of space. And if that's not enough, there's actually a little bit of bonus space under the floor here, kind of a deep cargo area. That's a great place to keep things out of sight, or maybe even the charge cables to the car if you want to travel with them. All right, next up are driving impressions, and I've really enjoyed driving this OPTIQ. It is absolutely a very comfortable, quiet car. I'm not going to call it sporty. This isn't quite light on its feet. It more drives with purpose, right? It sort of stays planted. It's a little on the numb side, but it's also exceedingly comfortable. The suspension is great on rough roads, smooth roads. I really haven't found a situation where this is a rough ride, so I love that. I really think it's a nice balance. I think it's what most drivers are going to expect out of a luxury crossover. Again, not sporty, but definitely gives you sort of the feel you're going to want out of something in this segment. In terms of power, this has 300 horsepower, 354 pound-feet of torque. And to me, that's actually a great number. It's not gonna blow you away in terms of acceleration, but it has plenty of power when you need it. When you're passing somebody on the highway, or maybe you're on an on-ramp and you accelerate, this has more than enough get up and go without being too much of a drain on the battery or the range. So I think it's a really nice happy medium. I've enjoyed that quite a bit. And then there's the regenerative braking. Cadillac has gotten really good at tuning its electric vehicles for the regenerative braking. And what I love is that you can adjust the levels. There's off, which is self-explanatory. Then there's normal, which is actually pretty strong. That's where I keep it, at the normal level. It definitely will slow the car down and it will bring it to a complete stop. And then there's high. I can't imagine using high because it's aggressively strong, but I like that you can easily find where it is to adjust those different levels. And then on top of that, Cadillac has this system, and this is pretty unique in the auto industry. There's another paddle here. It's on the left side of the steering wheel, and it's a handbrake. So if you have the regenerative braking turned off, you could use this to slow the vehicle, and it will slow down the vehicle to a complete stop pretty aggressively if you grab on it. But if you're really easy with it, you learn to sort of modulate it. And like I said, it's like a handbrake on a bike. So that's a nice to have feature. I think it's not necessary because you do have the tunability of the regenerative braking system, which I think is really great, but it's a little bonus if it's something you want to use. Otherwise, the rest of the driving experience is really comfortable and smooth. It's what you would expect from a luxury electric crossover. There are different drive modes you can put the car in. There's a sport mode. You can sort of tune some of the dynamics of the car that way. And the default setting is really fine for daily driving. I haven't really found the need to put it in the sport. The steering feels good. It's got a decent amount of feedback, and the body roll is really nicely controlled. We're on a pretty twisty road right now, and it's really having no problem keeping you comfortable. And then there's visibility. It's not great in this Cadillac. This A-pillar right in front of me seems pretty thick and kind of obstructs a little bit of your view. And then the B-pillar is also pretty big. And then the view out the back is kind of tight. So visibility, not the strong suit on this Optic. All right, folks, there you have it. Our review of the all-new Cadillac OPTIQ. Pros, well, we love the range and the amenities for the price, including the fact that Super Cruise comes standard. We also like that it switches to the NACS Tesla-style plug for 2026, and it's got a great ride and drive experience on the inside. Cons, well, the interior and exterior styling may not be for everyone, and there's no Apple CarPlay or Android Auto connectivity offered at all. That's a big miss in our book. But overall, we really do like this crossover. We think it's a great addition to the luxury space. So anyone cross-shopping it with an Audi or Mercedes-Benz or even Tesla's Model Y is gonna have a lot to like in this Cadillac. So for reviews or listings of this Cadillac or anything else you're shopping for, new or used, be sure to check out CarGurus.com. And CarGurus now has a podcast. It's called The Driveway, and it features myself and the rest of our great editorial team, giving you all the insights you need to make the right choice on your next vehicle purchase. Be sure to check it out wherever you get the rest of your favorite podcasts. Finally, before you go, be sure to like and subscribe to this channel so you can get alerts on all of our future updates.